This is Up for Debate, episode number 234, recorded June 9th, 2022. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Up for Debate, the debate podcast where the two of us agree on everything. I'm Sean Jennings, joined as always by a man who can read up to 30 English words. It's Bookworm Matt Mariani. Hello, Matt.
How's it going, Sean? I just changed the name as you were speaking. That was the first thing. That's the best I can do today. So,
Honestly, you still had Dave the Wave on from USFL, and that's a classic, so you were good either way.
How are you, voracious reader, Sean Jennings?
Oh, I am absolutely not a voracious reader. In fact, quite the opposite. I don't read. Actually, the books I'm picking tonight were purchased in 2013, 2014, and 2016. And back when I read. I don't read that much anymore. So we can't keep doing these summer book clubs. I'm running out of book picks because I haven't read any new books in the last 4 years. So, but it's not going to stop us.
No.
We will not be deterred.
It's not. It never does it?
Nope. We did it last year. We read Bad Blood, the Theranos story, and we watched the documentary, then turned into a TV series. And Matt, we did not read your book pick last year. Whoops. So I think whatever book of yours we pick, we'll probably read that one first this year, so we make sure you're not left out. That was not very nice of us.
Don't worry. I'm carefully plotting my vengeance.
It is scary. So if folks haven't been a part of the summer book clubs before, Matt and I each bring a selection of books we think is worth reading and discussing on the show. By the end, we each pick one book from the other person's list for a result of 2 books that over the course of this summer we will read and review here on the show.
Yeah, and it's been pretty successful in the past.
I was about to say,
I've read some.
Can you name all the books we've done? I don't even know.
Could we name all of them?
We haven't done that many.
I think the highlight for me was the summer of 1922.
1922.
1922, 1921.
Oh, yeah, one summer, 1921.
One summer.
Yes.
1921. Yes.
Yes. Yep. Bill Bryson. That was a great book.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't part of a summer series, but of course, Console Wars was a great read. Devil in the White City was a great read, right? Didn't we read that on the show?
Yeah. I don't remember if that was a summer read or if that was just one that we read as a side thing.
In general.
Of course, there's also been some duds. There's been some.
Only one dud, really.
Some lousy books.
Just the one, right, of Dice and Men. Were there any other duds?
I didn't care. I don't think either of us really cared for Ready Player One, right? But
it was interesting.
It was okay.
It was interesting. And by the way, the movie was on cable the other night, and I watched some of it again, and I was like, I cannot believe Steven Spielberg directed that. That's what I just could not wrap my mind around.
Yeah. I just man, that was interesting. You know what? I'm kind of glad that we read it though.
Well, that's what we don't only have to read good books. We can.
It feels like it feels like a cultural thing that happened, and it was unlike any other book that I've read. I could honestly say that.
Do you think we should read the honestly terrible sequel?
No. Yes, I do.
No.
I absolutely do.
No, absolutely not. No, Matt, I will say, when I was picking the books for tonight, I came very close to picking all terrible books, and so you would have to read one of them. My initial idea was all popular young adult novels, so it was going to be like Twilight, The Hunger Games, 50 Shades of Grey, not really young adult, but kind of in that genre. And then there was another one I had too. And I was going to make you choose one to read, but I saved you from that torture.
It's interesting that you say terrible, because sometimes the books that you might pick might be books that I enjoy. I feel like that's happened before, where there are things that you would choose that you think are gonna like torture me or like be like really crappy for me to read, and then they end up becoming like really like some of my favorite stuff. Not just with books, but with
Content in
I
general.
feel like this has happened with several other things, like the chocolate ants, for example.
That's food, but yes, I would
That's
agree.
the instant go to.
Yeah, licorice dots, not so
I think
much.
it's the licorice dots. Yeah.
But I will say, I mean, I think the Wind Up Bird Chronicle, which we did a summer or two ago, one of my favorite books I've read in the last many years. So I think we've definitely had some very good picks. But tonight we're going to bring some more to the table. We're going to discuss them, share them. Obviously, we like all 8 of these books, so out there, if you're interested, feel free to read any of these. But by the end, we'll pick 2 we're going to read later this summer. Matt, would you like to go first with one of your book picks?
Sure. I'll jump in first. And since I kind of teased this one before the show started, before we started recording, Sean, Michael Crichton.
Yes, the man who wrote ER.
What do you know about Michael Crichton?
I know he wrote ER.
Did he really?
Yes, well, actually, it's a funny story, but basically, he just wrote a bunch of scripts for just because he could, and gave them to them. And so there was a script sitting around on a stack of scripts about an emergency room, and that's what they adapted into the show. So he didn't really write it, but he got credit and a gazillion dollars for basically doing no work whatsoever on it.
I did not know that.
Which is crazy. He got so much money that, in fact, and this is a true story, a couple seasons into the show, he actually collected the whole cast and crew while they were shooting it, had a bunch of like guys come out with silver platters, gave one to each person on the entire cast and crew, opened it up, and there was a huge check inside for every single person who worked on the show. That's how much money he made.
Wow. And he made a big to do out of it too.
He did. He did. He was very happy to be part of that and get his check. No, I know he obviously a famous author. I believe Jurassic Park may be his most famous work, but certainly a number of others. You had picked one of his books, Prey, a number of years ago when we did a summer book club, and I know because I bought it and still have not read it.
That's true. I did. That was you're missing out. Honestly, Michael Crichton, one of my favorite authors, Sean. Honestly, one of my favorite thriller authors. He wrote Jurassic Park. He wrote The Lost World, which I just learned recently. I think he was could be completely wrong here, but I think he was commissioned to write it. The way I interpreted the story is that they commissioned him to write The Lost World after Jurassic Park was successful, and then they adapted the movie from his book. He also wrote Andromeda Strain, another famous book, but
Yep.
One of his other works, Sean, one of his lesser known, lesser talked about works, but still famous, they made a movie out of it, is called... Should I share my screen with you?
It's called Titanic. Yes, no, please do share your screen.
It is called Sphere. Sphere.
Sphere?
Sphere.
You're not saying S-sphere, you're saying sphere.
Nope. Sphere. Sphere. And
so like a large circle is a sphere?
Yeah, like as in a large circle, okay?
Okay.
All right? Sphere. It's about basically a group of scientists that go underwater in a big, kind of like this big science dome, or sphere. But they discover a bunch of really cool things underneath the surface of the water that I don't want to give anything away, but there are a lot of twists and turns. I happen to really enjoy this Michael Crichton. It is my favorite of his work. Besides Jurassic Park, of course. But I really enjoyed it when I read it. And actually, another podcast that I enjoy, they temporarily did a book club, lasted one episode, and this is the book that they covered in it. So, they're your first recommendation of the night. Sphere by Michael Crichton.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Published in 1997.
Yep.
Science fiction. Matt, as I always do during these summer book club episodes, I like to read some helpful Amazon reviews of the books we might be considering. Gwen Martin left a review called 1 star. The review says, stupid. Yes, I do always go right to the 1 star reviews. Let's see. This one is called Vapid Manifestation of Interesting Ideas. Sphere goes in circles. Come on, I want crazier ones. These are actually well written. I like the really threw it across the room.
Wow. All right. Now that's a little harsh.
Apparently, a lot of people don't spoil it. A lot of people hate the ending. They're not saying what it is, but they hate the ending.
Yeah, I cannot speak to that.
Okay.
Because I feel
keep
it
that
may
a
color
secret.
your opinions, but that's it. I found it exciting. It was one of those books that held my interest all the way through.
Nice.
And
Well, I don't
I
read
think the movie might have starred. Who was in the movie? Sphere by Michael Crichton.
Dustin Hoffman,
Dustin Hoffman. I was going to say Michael J. Fox, but that's very
Sharon
different.
Stone, Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson, yes.
It has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 11%.
Wow. I never saw the movie. But
Well, this is great. I don't normally read books like this. So, sort of science fiction books. I don't read a lot of fiction in general, but definitely sounds very interesting. And if Matt likes it, gosh darn it, that's good enough for me. And I'm really now curious what this controversial ending is. So,
yeah, so it's got you hooked.
cool. Michael Crichton's Sphere. Check it out. All right. Matt, I'll go next. I dug into my book archives. I'm a big nonfiction guy, so pretty much all my picks are going to be nonfiction because I like stories that are real, because sometimes those are the most interesting. And Matt, my first one here is by the great Bill Carter, who I've actually read a number of his books. He's an excellent reporter and author. But this one in particular, The War for Late Night, When Leno Went Early and Television Went Crazy. Have you read this book before, Matt?
I have not.
So this is an excellent book. You remember back in 2010 when Conan O'Brien, when Jay Leno retired, Conan O'Brien took over The Tonight Show, and then there was a big controversy when Jay Leno was on at 10, and then Conan got kicked out of his job, and then Jay Leno took over, and then David Letterman got involved. The War for Late Night. Are you familiar with this?
I followed it tangentially. I was never one for late night TV and talk shows and that whole scene. But I remember when it was going on. I remember people were talking about it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story of personalities telling what occurred over this span. And Bill Carter has a lot of connections in the industry, so you get some really fascinating scoops of how what was supposed to be a clear plan totally backfired. And you get great insight into the personalities who participate, from Jay Leno to Conan O'Brien, David Letterman, Jimmy Kimmel, the executives at NBC. And it's a quick read. It's not too long of a book, but it was definitely an enjoyable read if that's the kind of thing you're interested in.
Mm-hmm. Let's read some of those reviews. Please stay out with it. Boring.
Let's see. JML says, nah, terrible writing. See average high school student level. It honestly felt like it would never end.
That's what you always want in a book review, honestly.
Well, you're getting your money's worth. You know, you don't want it to end quickly.
Save your money on this one. A quick internet search and even the Wikipedia article will give you the same information without having to slog through page after page after page after page of trivial nonsense.
Well, and what's really funny about that is Wikipedia and those articles got all their information from the book. because a lot of it was reported first in the publishing of the book. So go figure. That's how it is. So
Indeed. All right. Well, I like the there was another book that I enjoyed that you suggested that I was thinking about the other day. It was the one with the business, where the .com business.
oh yes, dot bomb.
.bomb.
Yes.
I enjoyed that book. That was another read, and it's not the kind of book that I usually read, but I now enjoy books that follow like one person's, like, not biography, but I like that, like, place in time kind of books, I guess.
Yes.
And this really seems like it scratches that itch. I'm going to throw this one up as an honorable mention because it's very similar to what you just mentioned, but I think you'll enjoy it too much, so I'm going to pull this from the list of official considerations.
Okay.
I want you to expand outside of your comfort zone, Sean. I want you to, like, experience new things. That's kind of what this show is all about, right? I mean, we could rename the show Sean Experiences New Things.
Please. Oh my God, that's a nightmare. That's torture.
Kind of the same vibe. So it's this one is live from New York.
Matt, that's on my bookshelf.
Good.
Yes,
because it's not one of the official recommendations. This is a complete bait and switch. Because instead, what I had in mind was, and I can't let you see the rest of my list, but
okay.
I feel like you would enjoy that book too much, so instead,
Live from New York, yes.
Sean, my recommendation to you,
yeah,
is the Iowa Baseball Confederacy.
Right. Hey, you know what? I will say, at least you've piqued my interest. I will give you that.
The Iowa Baseball Confederacy, Sean, is a book by W.P. Kinsella. Now, does that name ring a bell to you?
The great W.P. Kinsella?
It should not ring a bell unless you're a big fan of a particular movie starring Kevin Costner called...
Oh my God. Waterworld.
Field of Dreams.
Oh. Okay. I would read the book version of Waterworld, though, if they did a novelization.
I would, Sean, I would drop all the other books on this list, and I would read that one first if they did a book version of Waterworld. I'm not exaggerating.
They did.
They did.
Yeah, they did a novel based on the movie.
Sean,
it's out of print.
My recommendation here is Waterworld.
Yeah, no. Oh my God, God knows we got to go on eBay to find one of those. No, let's talk about the Iowa Baseball Confederacy.
This Waterworld. Hot dating agency number 2.
Ooh, sexy.
Anyway, the Iowa Baseball Confederacy, Sean. W.B. Kinsella wrote the book that was adapted into the film Field of Dreams. He then went on to write this book, which is basically like a manifesto of baseball in a way, but also about time travel. The book is about, how do I put this lightly? It's about a team that starts a game and the game never ends. It just goes on. They start a game in the summer of 1908 and it continues into modern day. Basically like what was published in 1986, so almost like goes on for almost 80 years in the future. And then it goes even beyond that. It goes further into that. It's like very dreamlike, and I know that you enjoyed some of the dreamlike books in the past, like
yes, Wind Up Bird Chronicle.
The Wind Up Bird Chronicle, the Murakami books that we've read. So it's kind of in a similar vein, but it's just about this baseball game that is just endless. This endless baseball game in this endless summer. And it has a lot to say about America and the direction of America and the direction of baseball. Kinsella, he's got a lot of opinions about baseball.
And that sounds about right, Matt. Kindle Friend on Amazon said this hurt to read. And Robert says, "What a bore." No, Matt, that sounds pretty wacky.
Carol said at first it just seemed creepy and sad.
I like that. I like that.
But I enjoyed the baseball parts and was utterly confused by the ending. Not a clue what was going on.
That sounds like a book I'll like. Matt, listen. When I think pure, unfettered excitement, I think of baseball. And
I know how much you love the sport.
Clearly captures that. Combining my two loves, sports and fantasy novels.
And time travel. Don't forget time travel.
Matt, I'm just going to be straight up honest. You have not sold me on this. I really want you to sell me on it, but you haven't yet sold me on it.
Don't worry. I'll get you hooked.
Okay.
I'll get you hooked. So I'm going to use one of these little captures, one of these little quotes.
People like it too much, man. It's too positive.
No, there's a lot of positives out there. There's a lot of positives. A lot of people read it after Field of Dreams, and they were disappointed that it wasn't Field of Dreams.
Well, that's fair. I mean, Jane Kuntz on Amazon said, "What's so mind-boggling is the drugs that Kinsella must have been smoking in order to come up with this one."
There you go. But yeah, I mean, what else is there? There's the Iowa Baseball Confederacy. Sean, this would help a lot more if I actually read this book. I confess, I did not read it. As you can see, it's on my want to read shelf. I have not read it, but I could promise you that if chosen, I will read it with you.
Are we allowed to do that? Are we allowed to pick books that we have not read?
Well, it's going to be the next book that I read, so I would probably have read it before you finish.
Okay.
And I don't think we ever said we couldn't.
Well, but I'm thinking now, I may pick a book that I haven't read.
I've got a book on here that, actually, I have several books on here that I haven't read. And I kind of want you to be the test subject for them.
Oh, no.
Sean, I added a fifth book, if you want to add a fifth book.
No, come on, no. No, this episode has to end eventually.
I just couldn't choose. All right. And the fifth book is Waterworld.
Yeah, well, tempting. Tempting. I'm curious. You got me curious.
I'm, you know what? We may have to do this one for a separate, maybe a separate event. Stick around.
Yeah, I'm sure that will really get people tuning in.
Everything already fell off my wall. What just fell now? Another one of the magnet strips just fell.
Is there like an earthquake going on or something?
I don't know. That's what Tremors or something? What? They probably made a book out of Tremors also. Now that I think of it.
That one I've never seen. I also haven't seen Waterworld. But it would be fun. One of these summers we should only be able to pick novelizations of movies. I feel like that would be a very fun concept.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. I guess it's my turn. The War for Late Night went over like a lead balloon, so I'm going to try something else. Matt, you said you were interested in slice of time books that really capture the era that they are about. And so I have a perfect pick for you. It's called The Lost Bank. The story of Washington Mutual, the biggest bank failure in American history. Matt, this book takes place mostly in the economic collapse of 2008, but it tells the entire history of the Washington Mutual Bank. Later, towards around 2008, rebranded as WAMU, if you remember that from back in 2008. A bank that genuinely started as a small local bank back around the turn of the century and grew and grew and grew over time, went through the bank explosion of the 80s with consolidation, grew into a national presence, and then starting in 2000, writing bad mortgages, being the most voracious consumer of bad mortgages. This book tells the story from the inside of how a great financial institution can be brought to its knees by malpractice and unethical behavior. Again, not a long read, but an interesting way to see the 2008 economic collapse because it is told through a narrow story of one particular institution and how it could have gone wrong, rather than just telling the whole story overall. So this one sits on my shelf. I read it a couple times actually. It's a pretty interesting read if business is sort of an area you're interested in.
Okay, you've got my attention. Place and time.
And Tigers 29 said, "Wasted my money."
You know Tigers 29. Can you share the screen so I could see your...
Oh! Yeah, sorry. I should be better about doing that. Let's see.
Your,
Make sure I'm sharing the right tab.
My question is this what they based that movie off of?
No.
The movie, you know the movie I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
the Big Short?
No. No, it's Land Before Time. That's what I'm thinking of. Okay.
The one with
Never
the
mind.
dinosaurs?
No, I'm thinking of Indian in the Cupboard. That's what they based this book, right?
Matt,
Indian in the Cupboard,
That's what?
Right.
And that's a book.
right? Yes, it is. We're at it. We're gonna add that to the list too.
They didn't base the book on the book, Matt. I don't think you're
Are
listening.
you sure they didn't? This book is not based on Indian in the Cupboard, the movie.
No, this is Matt. Everyone knows that this book is an extension of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It made a cameo
Lost
in a
Bank.
post-credit scenes at the end of Iron Man 2, and then the book
Okay.
came out.
Sean, I don't know a lot about banking. I'll be honest here.
Well, this is a people's story. You don't have to know much about banking.
I put my money in the bank and okay. All right. This actually, I think this. I'm kind of interested in this. I think this is like kind of an interesting story, especially because it's one that we lived through,
Right.
and it's one that I feel like people still don't really know fully what happened. I don't know. I would read this. It seems like there's a lot of ups and downs with this one. Mostly downs, probably.
Yeah,
not a
well,
bank
again,
figure.
it's just that question of like, how can a gazillion-dollar national global banking institution collapse? And this book does a really good job of setting up the foundation and building you to that point, so you understand all along the way exactly how that happens. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, The Lost Bank by Kristen Grind is my next pick. All right, Matt, number 3. Break it down.
Amazing how arrogant. Oh, that's one of the quote. Okay. Yeah, let's go. I actually got a lot of decent reviews. I can't see any like really too bad reviews. One of them, the closest I saw, is 3 stars. This book is not for everyone, but was extremely interesting to me. That's really like, as bad as it gets, I think.
Okay, what's
Somebody said
the
this
book?
was not juicy enough. Okay. All right, so that was your Lost Bank.
Okay.
I just clicked out of my screen. So what I'm going to do is, Sean, let me tell you about a man. A man who had a vision. His vision would go on to change the world and the industry forever.
Are you talking about Lee Iacocca?
Very close. Very, very close.
Oh,
you're like so close.
Are we
you're
gonna
like
read-
so hot you're burning up.
It's the
Could not be any hotter.
no, is it the GE guy whose name Jack? What's his name?
So close. So close.
Okay, so we're in that space.
Way in that space. So this man was a visionary. He
The Steve
changed
Jobs
the industry. You're close. You're right there. This guy's name is right up there with them. He's right
all right.
up there with them.
You're not going to make me read about like Edison, are you?
Nope, Sean. Get your body ready.
Oh no.
It's the story of Reggie Fils-Aimé.
No!
Just watching the game from the Bronx to the top of Nintendo.
No! No, it's not even a book about Nintendo. It's Reggie's book.
It is Reggie's book, Sean.
I didn't
it
even
just
know he
came
wrote
out.
a book.
This is probably the newest, hottest book
Oh no!
out there. It came out just on May 3rd.
Oh no!
May 3rd. It's a little over a month old. And you could be one of the first on your block to read the story of Reggie. Reggie Fils-Aimé.
So, Matt, for the folks at home who are normal and well-adjusted, can you explain who this guy is?
Well, why don't we just let him do the explaining? He says, "My name is Reggie. I'm about kicking ass. I'm about taking names. And we're about making games." That was the first lines. The first lines uttered by Reggie Fils-Aimé, Nintendo's iconic president of the Americas, and that is that. With that famous quote, that is how he opened Nintendo's 2004 E3 presentation. Learn from Reggie on how to leverage disruptive thinking to pinpoint the life choices that will make you truly happier, conquer negative perceptions for those who underestimate or outright dismiss you, and master the grit, perseverance, and resilience it takes to dominate the business world and reach your professional dreams.
You know, Matt,
Do you want to reach your professional dreams, Sean?
I have professional nightmares. I think I will say, Matt, I would hate reading this book. I know I would hate it. I'm kind of intrigued, though. You do have me kind of intrigued.
All right, then. All
I'm
right.
mildly interested.
All right. And, somehow this review contains spoilers. I don't know how that's possible, but this is not really that kind of book. Unless there's like some kind of twists we don't know about. I don't know. And then it turned out that Reggie was a spy for Sony all along.
He was in the pocket of Big Sony.
An extremely hollow and slightly reed-filled? What does that mean? An extremely hollow and slight reed-filled... an extremely hollow and slight... Extremely hollow and slight reed. Does that mean it's like... What is a slight reed?
I guess like a short read or an easy
Short?
read.
Okay. A hollow and slight reed filled with hacky leadership advice. This book was a big disappointment, according to Max Freeze.
If Max Freeze says it, it's got to be true.
I mean, he's the only 2-star rating, Sean.
Didn't
This
you
guy
say
did
the book?
a video review.
Didn't you say the book hasn't come out yet, or it just came out?
Oh, it came out May 3rd.
Hmm.
It's like brand spanking new. But that's it. That's your next pick. Disrupting the game. From the Bronx to the top of Nintendo. Story of Reggie. Get your body ready.
Well, it sounds like an exercise book when you say it that way.
Get your body ready. That's another thing that he said during E3.
Oh, really? Okay.
Remember? Yeah, he said, my body is ready.
I must have missed
Famous
that.
quote.
I must have not been around when he did that.
Oh, that became
right.
a huge thing. Just type, my body is ready. Yeah, it's the first thing that comes up.
Okay. All right. Hey, perfectly good pick, Matt. You accomplished the task. So, I'm interested. I'm curious. You've definitely had a good mix here. So, why don't I jump into my next pick, which is, I was listening while you were talking, I swear, but I was also scrolling through my my Amazon order history, just trying to figure out if there's any books I'm not thinking of. And I've ordered books all the way back. It's been over 10 plus years ordering books on Amazon. Matt, my next pick would shock you to learn it's nonfiction, but it's different. This is not about a business. Or is it? Question mark. Matt, name America's best religion.
Scientology.
Bingo. You got it. We're reading Going Clear, Scientology, Hollywood,
How
and the
did you
Prison of
know?
Belief.
How did you know that was going to be the pick? Okay.
I didn't.
Because you're a Scientologist, right?
You're just
That's
that.
how you know.
Well, after reading this book, it doesn't sound very
just
positive.
You can just sense my thetans in the atmosphere.
Matt, I am a level 12, which means I can control things with my mind. No, this is it's actually. Have you read this book before, Matt?
I have not. I have not read this book. Was this okay? So it was not written by L. Ron Hubbard.
No, God, no. This is a.
Because I understand a lot of those books are his like books that he wrote.
No, this is
actually like science fiction books.
This was kind of the big official Scientology book. It's HBO turned it into a documentary series. He won the Pulitzer Prize for it, I think, something like that. So, no, an extremely well received book that tells the entire story of L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology all the way through to today, talks about all their secrets, all the things you kind of have heard whispers about, but it actually gets into details. And it's a very well-written, compelling book where you're like, holy crap, I can't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. So there you go.
Can you scroll up? Nope, up more.
Enhanced
more.
My Tushy?
Yeah.
Beth's cell phone. Beth's cell
That's
phone says enhanced my tushy.
Oh no, I think they're saying enhanced my tushy, like my butt. But it comes, it does read like this book enhanced her buttocks.
Yeah, my tushy. Oh boy.
But what is that? Okay,
not normal.
Okay, this sounds really interesting. So this is about. What is it about exactly? Besides Scientology, is it like Does it go into like the founding of it, or?
Yes. So it's a mix of L. Ron Hubbard's life and everything he did. It also breaks down the details of Scientology. This was one of the first book to report on a lot of those that we all kind of may know a little better today. It gets into the Hollywood aspect of it. It gets into a lot of the secret, like their ship they have that you can be like an indentured servitude on, and like their compound, and the guy who runs it, wife went mysteriously missing and was never heard from again, and all that kind of stuff is all part, the billion-year contracts and all that kind of stuff. This book really breaks it down into a lot of detail to really try to explain. I think the only way to know more about Scientology other than reading this book is to actually be in Scientology. So it's a really deep look at the history and what it is today.
Got it. Or watch the South Park episode.
Well, they do get a lot right. I will say, after reading this book, it's all the stuff in there you laugh about. You're like, no, that's not only is that crazy, there's actually more crazy stuff in the book that they don't even talk about in that. So,
Sean, I was listening to your description, but I'm kicking myself right now because when you said what America's best religion is, I should have said consumerism.
Yeah, capitalism.
Can you back edit that so I sound funny?
All right. Well, now everyone's going to be confused because you said that, and then we just start talking about Scientology. But now everyone will know why.
Yeah. Okay. I honestly, this book is probably piquing my interest so far. I like the bank book too. So it's up there. They're both up there. I really am intrigued by this one though. It's from a psychological perspective. This sounds like really, because I want to know more, and I want to know like why people are really into this stuff. Like where do they find this? I guess they must prey on like Hollywood people a lot, and I want to know.
Oh yeah, absolutely they do.
His connection. Yeah.
But that's also part of it is like when a celebrity goes through a scandal, how they help them and cover for them, and it's there's definitely interesting. I think we'd have a good conversation following the book. With what's in it. Okay. So
it's up there.
That is.
Which one of my books is winning so far, and
well,
why
what was
is it?
What was the? I have to write these down. What was the last one you just did?
That was the story of Reggie disrupting the game from the Bronx to the top of Nintendo.
I'm just writing Reggie. So Sphere, Iowa Baseball, and Reggie. Matt, you can never be a librarian because with your sort of collection here, utterly baffling. I can't imagine you as like a bookstore owner. I don't think there's. I'm interested in them, but I don't think there's a clear and obvious winner yet.
Sean, if I was a bookstore owner, did I ever tell you about this plan of mine?
No, but knowing you, I can't even begin to guess.
I was inspired by two events. One, there's a bookstore in Princeton, New Jersey called Labyrinth Books.
Mm-hmm.
The second event that inspired me was watching the movie Saw. All right? So
Is this like your restaurant idea with the robot who kills people?
well, hear me out. So,
Okay.
and that's only on Fridays, right? It's like
Yes, it's a special event where you might get
the robot
actually
is
murdered.
programmed to just go berserk on Friday, at random Fridays.
Oh boy.
Okay, so it's a book that is also a maze. It's a bookstore. I'm sorry,
Oh,
excuse
okay.
me, a bookstore that is also a maze, and it's extremely difficult. It's very easy to get lost in the bookstore, like literally lost, like to the point where you would like need a guide to get you out. But the guide speaks only in riddles, very cryptic riddles that you have to then solve his riddles by like opening different books and like the books have clues in them. And there's also like panels in the floor, and there's like black light, and there's stuff that you have to use. Kind of like an escape room that you don't realize that you're a part of until you're already in it. And I would call it Labyrinth Books.
I'm pretty sure that could technically be considered kidnapping.
Not really, because you're not.
I don't,
Like they're okay. Is a corn maze a kidnapping?
but you know it's a maze going in.
It's called Labyrinth Books, Sean.
Oh boy! Wow, your
What, are
lawyer's
you
getting
gonna
good
not
money out of
expect a
this.
literal labyrinth? That's what I would tell the police.
No, I would say that. So would there be like a sphinx and a minotaur like in the maze who would like try and stop you or something?
There could be.
Okay.
Could be. I mean, if we need there to be, there could be. Do we need
I
there to
don't
be one?
know. I don't. Well, it's your labyrinth. I don't know, Matt. You keep inventing. If you opened literally any business, I would be concerned it was some kind of trap or trick. Because
about
every time
the,
you've ever pitched one, you'd be like, it's a costume shop, but it's actually a pizza restaurant, and I'm like, what?
What about the hotel idea that I had, where one of the rooms was transparent, or had transparent, but you didn't know which one?
It's just such a bait and switch.
No, it had like two-way or one-way windows or something, but you didn't know which one until the end. And then if you were in that room, you won a free stay your next time.
After being publicly exposed.
Yeah, that was another idea. Anyway, actually, you know what? I'm gonna go with this book. I was gonna save this book for the end, but it ties in too damn well with what I just described. I can't remember if you read this book before, but I keep recommending it, and you keep shutting it down.
Okay.
Which eventually you're gonna read it. I'm gonna insist that you read it. House of Leaves.
You know, it's very funny you said that because I was going through prior to the show my Amazon wish list, and this book was in there, and I couldn't remember for the life of me how it ended up in there. Now I know.
Mystery solved. Mystery solved. I think this was in our very first book club that we did. And it. Well,
let me see.
It rears its head every now and then. It is something that just needs to be experienced. I can't really say too much about it without spoiling what it is. And what it is way beyond a book. It's the closest thing to a augmented reality that I've experienced in book form.
Mm-hmm.
Combined with elements of horror and elements of thriller. There's some avant-garde writing in it. It's the only book I've seen that I had to read like basically a novel's worth of websites to really understand and appreciate. and and because I did it, I feel like I'm part of this niche community that very few people are part of. I thank the author Mark Danielewski for that. It's a really just there's nothing like it. House of Leaves. That's all I can say.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're not really selling me on it as a book so complex you need extra reading material.
No, not it wasn't that it was complex. It wasn't. I didn't need it because it was complex. I read the websites for it because it kind of requires you to in a way. For you to like, it's basically like if you read the book, that's only like half the job. The other half is just becoming a part of this. Becoming a part of this like web, so to speak. And yes, this is true. You do need a paper copy. You definitely cannot read this on an ebook.
That's good. I don't. Well, Matt, Mary Sue left a review, and I'm going to read the whole thing. This may be my favorite of the night so far. I, like many, was duped by the stellar reviews for this awful book. The author seems to have no actual knowledge of the vocabulary he uses and just strings together the most complicated, bloated, self-important sentences he can. I am an avid reader. I have many literary tattoos. I love books, and I could not make it to page 100. I have a strong aversion to the destruction of books and contemplated just leaving it on a bench somewhere. But much like the videotape in The Ring, I could not allow this monstrosity to happen to somebody else. 25 people found this helpful.
Oh, I have many tattoos.
I love books, and I could not.
If I could, I would bury a book.
I have a strong aversion to destruction of books, but I almost blew this up with a bomb.
Sarah said, totally infuriating. It made me feel dumb, bored, and annoyed all at once. If I want that, I'll go date my first boyfriend again.
Oh, sick burn. That is a sick burn. Holy
burn.
Hell.
She got a little burn in there. Yeah.
Damn.
I'm going to like that. You go, Sarah. That's
Damn.
I don't agree with your sentiment, but
that review was
funny.
helpful.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, hey, look, I'll strongly consider it. I mean, you've picked it twice now. That's a pretty ringing endorsement.
I'll end with this picture it's actually a picture review, and I have to show it to you because I think this just about says it all that you need to know.
It's going to literally blow your mind? Is that what it's implying?
A guy's head exploding while he's reading
Oh, Lord.
House of Leaves. So, there you go. House of Leaves. Mark Danielewski.
All right. A reasonable choice. Matt, for my fourth book, now, I'll give you a choice, okay? I can pick, because I feel bad that I only ever pick nonfiction, because it's what I read, but they're all very similar. And so I can either pick another great nonfiction book, or I can pick a fiction book, but I've never read it and don't remember why it's on my wish list. Which would you rather?
That second one.
You want to go with the fiction book?
The one that you've never read and you can't remember why it's on your list.
Okay, well maybe it was your recommendation. We'll see. Have you read The Fifth Gospel?
Whoa.
Oh, the runner-up. Which book specifically was I going to do for you? Well, there's a great book on the rise and fall of Anheuser-Busch, which they kind of have come back since they wrote the book, but how the company imploded. I had a great book on Jeff Bezos and the history of Amazon. I got a great book on John Peters and Peter Gruber, two essentially scam artists who worked their way into Hollywood and crashed the Sony movie studio on their way. I made $1 zillion doing it. All of which are good books. But, Matt, you picked The Fifth Gospel. Have you heard of this book?
I have not.
Okay, so it wasn't you who put this on my list. According to this description,
Probably
again,
Dan.
I haven't read this.
Sounds like a Dan Miller book.
Although I have a lot of really hard fantasy books on my wish list from Dan Miller.
Dense. He's either really dense fantasy or he's light history. I feel like, although he did read that book about debt. That book about debt was pretty hardcore.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Dan
Well,
just goes
according to
hard.
this, in
He's just a guy that just
2004,
goes hard all the time.
I can't read those books. I've tried. I really can't. A mysterious exhibit is under construction at the Vatican Museums. A week before it is scheduled to open, its curator is murdered at a clandestine meeting on the outskirts of Rome. That same night, a violent break-in rocks the home of the curator's research partner, a priest who lives inside the Vatican with his 5-year-old son. How can you be a priest and have a son? Anyway, when the papal police fail to identify a suspect in either crime, Father Alex undertakes his own investigation. To find the killer, he must reconstruct the dead curator's secret, what the 4 Christian Gospels reveal about the Church's most controversial holy relic. It's basically the Da Vinci Code.
I was just gonna say this is awfully Da Vinci Cody, and it's also that priest is Greek Catholic. They can, for some reason, I happen to know this. They can have sons.
Very specific. Yes,
very specific. Right, I did some close reading on that, but this sounds a lot. This has the Da Vinci. Are you sure Ian Caldwell is not Dan Brown spelled backwards or something? Like, you don't rearrange the letters in Caldwell and you get Langdon, Langdon.
Which, by the way, Matt, that would actually be a fun thing. Have you ever read any of Dan Brown's non-Robert Langdon books?
I didn't know that there were any.
Wait, there are.
Robert
and Matt,
Langdon books, or
well, the Da Vinci Code and its sequels. Basically, he's the character, but he's written other books prior to the Da Vinci Code.
Oh yeah, no, I have. I've read. They're all like very similar. It's not like,
and they're
like, you're talking about like Digital Fortress.
Yes, and then what was the one with the
Breaking Point?
Yes, that one might have been it. Horrible. Oh my god. Oh, so upset. And it is the same shit over and over, and it's not well written.
I didn't even really care for Da Vinci Code that much. No. I did like Angels and Demons. I thought Angels and Demons was probably his best work, and then I thought it was all kind of downhill from there.
So, I don't know, Matt. I'm kind of lukewarm on this one. This review says boring. Okay. So, if that or any of the other books I quickly scrolled to sound exciting, I have a history about the history of ESPN.
Okay.
History of MTV. And any of this...
The MTV one sounds interesting.
It is actually. It is a very interesting book. It's told in the same style as Live from New York, where it's all interviews from people, kind of told sequentially. And they talk to a lot of the music artists, the people who worked at MTV, the cable executives. It is actually a very good book. I Want My MTV, The Uncensored Story of the Music Video Revolution by Rob Tannenbaum and Craig Marks. So,
okay.
I don't know, man. You take your pick. I don't know what to tell you. I'm out of books. I'm going to start recommending like magazines and pamphlets here in a second.
Pamphlets. Would you like to join Waterworld? Would you like to join the Iowa Baseball Confederacy?
Yeah. No.
Sean, my next pick. If I had my druthers, if I had those druthers, it would have been. Have you ever heard of the Stormlight Archives?
Oh boy, that sounds.
These are the high fantasy books that Dan really likes.
Oh, the Brian Sanderson bullshit. Yes.
It's gonna be
you aren't picking that. You aren't picking that, are you?
1,000 pages, Sean.
Kill this guy. And he got me to buy.
That was going to be my next recommendation.
What pisses me off, he gets me to buy them because he's like a really good sales guy on these books. So he's like, no, you'll love it. It's great. It's this, that. And so I like buy it while we're taping the show. I have the, what is Patrick Rothfuss? The Name of the Wind. He got me to buy that. Never read it. Cryptonomicon, Neil Stevenson, never read that.
He got me to buy that one, the Name of the Wind. He got me to buy that one without even talking to me about it. I just saw it on Goodreads that he was into it, and I was like, okay. Read about like 10 pages. I got about 10 pages in and realized I didn't, I had a job and I had stuff that I had to do, and it didn't grip me as hard as I thought, I guess.
My brain only stretches so far. I got a book on the history of Circuit City.
I think you mentioned that on the show before.
Any book written about the history of a business, I will read because I'm a sucker.
Did you recommend the one about the history of Pixar?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Forget what it's.
Dream People, or like something like the Dreamers, Dreamer Inc., Dreams Inc., something like that.
No, but it's. The thing is, there's two Pixar books, and one is good and one is not.
The Pixar Touch.
Yes, that's the one I read. Creativity
That's the good
Inc.
one?
is,
Creativity
I think, the other
Inc.
one.
That's the
But
one
that
that I
was-
have on my want to read.
That's a little more like business advice-y. Like, it does
Okay.
tell the story, but it's more like about how to get creativity in your business kind of thing. The Pixar Touch is really much more of like a history. And actually, that's a really good book, too.
Okay, I just added that one to my list.
I don't know. See, now I'm not just on Amazon. I'm just finding books that now I want to add to my wish list. So this is great, Matt. We gotta pick some books here.
Have you read Onward? How Starbucks fought for its life without losing its soul?
I have not read that one.
These
Although
are
I did just
readers-
pull up The Idea Factory, Bell Labs, and the Great Age of American Innovation, which sounds very good.
That sounds like a Sean book.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Wikinomics?
No. Dealers of
How
Lightning
Mass
is a good one.
Collaboration Changes everything.
I can do this
Groundswell.
all day.
I've heard of that one before.
Which one?
Groundswell, I think. Winning in a world transformed by social technology. I don't know where I heard that, but
Well, that's your
All right.
that's what's I'm very careful about. Is there's a very fine line between like genuine like business history and like I'm telling you the story because I want you to learn to be a better business person type books. And that's what I don't want. Like, I just want the straight history.
did you read the Disney War?
I recommended it on the show for one of our summers. I love that book.
You
That
did,
is an
right?
incredible
Yeah, because
book.
I have it on my want to read. That's probably why.
I'd read that this summer. That's an incredible
Okay.
book. I've read that a couple times. That's a really, really good one.
That was on my 2021 summer reading list. And now it's on
Oh,
my
there you go. Yeah, I think I
2022
picked that last year.
I've got quite the summer reading list, Sean. Okay.
Well,
we
Matt,
gotta pick one.
I was about to say, let's make it easy for you. Let's pick where you're going to start. Matt, would you want to pick my book first, or should I pick yours first?
I think I'm gonna pick yours first because I got
Okay.
I got it. I got this. I got this book. I think of all the ones that you recommended, the one that intrigued me the most. And I think I already added it here. Thought I added it, maybe not. I liked the I liked the Scientology one.
All right.
Sorry to drag that out, but
No, that's
I
fine.
couldn't
That's a
find
good
the
one.
title. Is clear? Was it Going Clear?
Yes, Going Clear, which is something you do in Scientology. Yes.
That's the one.
All right.
That's going to be the summer one. Yep.
Good pick. Feel good book of the summer. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, good. That was a very good pick, Matt. We will definitely read that. And then I actually haven't seen the documentary series on HBO, so I may have to check that out as well. I am I'm torn, Matt. Excuse me. Between House of Leaves and Reggie's book. And I'm trying to figure out which one would be a better read for the show. Because I think House of Leaves is there's going to be a lot more creativity to talk about, and it's an interesting book. I don't know how riveting the Reggie book is going to be. But on the other hand, I just think it's insane this dude wrote a book, and I'm just really curious what's in it, and I also think it'll be an easier read. The problem with House of Leaves is I'm either going to absolutely love it or I'm going to truly hate it, and there's no in between. And it's going to be like Wind Up Bird Chronicle, which going into that I was like, I'm going to love it or I'm going to hate it. So, what are your thoughts
ended up
between
loving
those
it.
two?
You
And I
ended up
did.
loving
See,
Wind
that's-
Bird.
And that's why I'm a little bit interested. You know, I'm thinking. So, what would you say between those two? Should I push it one way or the other?
I really don't know. It depends on. They're very different books, right? Like I think that the Reggie book you could finish in like a day or two. It seems like it's pretty light.
House of Leaves is 700 pages.
Yeah,
You didn't
House
mention
of
it.
Leaves. House of Leaves is the book you will read this summer. Reggie is a book that you could read this
Oh
summer.
no.
But there was that other book that you didn't read.
And it's called the Bible. No, what book
I'm
didn't
going
I
to bring
read?
it up.
Oh,
No, the
yeah.
book that you were supposed to read.
Should I just
for
pick that again?
last- the Remains of the Day.
Yes.
That was the book, which is somewhere in the middle, I think. I don't know how much we could talk about that book on this show. I would say you should read that one because of these three options, I probably enjoyed that one the most. But it was one of my favorite books of all time. But I think for the show's sake, I think the most entertaining thing to talk about would be House of Leaves. For your sanity's sake, that's a different story. But for the content,
All right. I've made my decision.
okay.
Are you ready? The big conclusion to the episode. Matt, this summer, you and I will be tortured by reading the Iowa Baseball Confederacy.
What?
Twist.
What a twist! What
Twist.
a twist! That was a Pepsi twist right there.
Well, because I thought about it. It's like, do I go with the, like, sort of shorter, mediocrely written Reggie book, or do I go with the sort of crazy, out there, insane? And I'm like, I could just do both
Oh, okay.
and read the Iowa Baseball Confederacy.
Iowa Baseball Confederacy.
Like,
I
not
like your
as
thinking.
still crazy, not that crazy. Still simple,
Yeah.
but not that simple.
and that does the double duty, the double whammy of torturing me again because I haven't read that book. I haven't read Iowa Baseball. That was the only one on my list that I recommended. That
It'll
I
be
hadn't
new
read
for
yet,
both of
so.
us.
So it's going to be new for both of us. So all right, you gave me double the homework. I like it. Bold move. Bold move.
I am excited.
All right.
This
got
is
our
going to be fun. So
picks.
this summer, going clear, we've got Scientology, and we've got the
baseball.
Iowa Baseball Confederacy.
America's best two religions.
Yeah, exactly.
Scientology and baseball.
And baseball. This is great. Well, this should be a fun summer, Matt, because not only are we doing this, we're also doing our Ready Press Start. I haven't come up with a good name for it yet. Our Press Start video game movie summer as well.
That's right. We will be watching movies based on video games, or video
That's
games
right,
based
Matt.
on movies.
No, movies based on video games.
Movies based on video games.
And so we're going to do sort of older films. We're going to stick to older. We're going to be covering films like Super Mario Brothers, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, Resident Evil, Doom, Silent Hill maybe. I don't know. We haven't come up with a final list, but I'm thinking up through Max Payne in 2008, and then we'll have some good ones on the back end. But Matt, I think, we're already into mid-June here. I think we've got to start. Are you ready for Super Mario Brothers next week?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always ready. Isn't that what Mario says? He
This
goes,
is exciting.
Oh yeah.
I've only ever seen clips. His famous catchphrase.
Mario's catchphrase. He busts through. That
I'm
wall and-
ready.
Oh, yeah.
That's his famous catchphrase.
Mushrooms. That's what he says. That's Mario.
Time to go down the pipe. That's what Mario says. Just the most generic white guy accent.
Yoshi, get over here.
Yeehaw! 1993 Super Mario Brothers, a film I've seen clips of, but I've never watched the whole thing before. So, I am pretty excited
I'll
about
make
that.
Bowser wish he had never been born.
Up yours, Bowser. Just us writing alternate catchphrases. Great. So I'm excited for that. Listen, it's going to be a packed summer. We got movies, we got books, we got a lot going on. So you're going to want to come back each and every week. UpForDebate.tv is our website with all of the episodes. Of course, you can subscribe wherever you get podcasts. Look for that purple icon to get it in your popular podcast feed reader. Video version on YouTube as well. And of course, you can get a hold of us at UpForDebateTV on Twitter. Email us UpForDebateTV@gmail.com. If you have a suggestion for a movie or book you'd like to see us watch or read, we would love to hear it from you. So check that out. But until then, we got to shut this down. So that is it. On behalf of Matt, I'm Sean. We appreciate you being here. We'll see you next time for a well-read edition of Up for Debate.
Waterworld the book.
No, Matt.